Building a company from scratch requires a specific, rare temperament, a self-made founder capable of pulling a business out of obscurity through pure, isolated effort. Corporate titans like Nidec's Shigenobu Nagamori and Nissan's Carlos Ghosn fit this profile. They operated with a relentless energy that made their growth seem like a force of nature. For decades, that momentum generated massive profits. Then, the same growth engines that built these empires suddenly crashed into severe corporate scandals and accounting fraud. These implosions often appear like sudden, isolated accidents. However, a closer look at the internal mechanics suggests a deeper, recurring pattern beneath the surface. To find that pattern, you have to look past the public relations. A company's annual report will routinely claim to value people, even as the reality behind closed doors turns abrasive. This chart tracks a leading indicator. While the green line shows healthy revenue, the red line reveals a sharp spike in executive resignations. At companies like Nidec, this revolving door of talent accelerated significantly in the late 2010s, just as the business reached its peak. When the inner circle begins to flee a highly successful company, it signals a shift. The healthy sprint for market share has mutated into a terminal state of overdrive. This breakdown stems from a specific psychological trait, an absolute, uncompromising conflation of the founder's personal identity with the corporate entity itself. At one point, Nagamori famously tracked the exact number of toilet paper rolls in the bathrooms of acquired companies. He demanded microscopic operational control over every single yen. In the early stages of a startup, this obsessive level of control is highly effective. It forces a young company to hit the financial milestones required to survive and scale. Yet, the behavioral trait that guarantees a startup's survival eventually becomes the mechanism that tears the megacorporation apart. We can map this risk using 4 distinct psychological archetypes: the dreamer, the warrior, the thinker, and the lover. The dreamer attracts top talent through high-risk visions for the future, prioritizing broad ideals over daily operational perfection. SoftBank's Masayoshi Son fits this profile. His massive, speculative bets on global technology infrastructure align with a leadership style built on bold, outward-looking ideas. The warrior archetype, the category inhabited by leaders like Ghosn and Nagamori, operates on the opposite end of the spectrum, relying on relentless, grinding execution. Because these personality matrices build entirely different types of empires, they suffer through entirely different modes of failure. This highlights the breaking point for the warrior. Attempting to manage a trillion-yen global empire with the same hands-on style used for a billion-yen startup causes the system to snap. The warrior often refuses to adapt their style to this new scale. Instead, they place physically impossible demands on their executive staff to maintain microscopic control. These departures are rarely about a failing business model. In many cases, talented executives simply reach a state of absolute, total exhaustion. The company hasn't failed the leader. The company has simply outgrown the leader's rigid psychological archetype. The ultimate tragedy of this state is that the founder is fundamentally incapable of self-diagnosis. Because their relentless style worked flawlessly for 30 years to build an empire, they struggle to comprehend how that same behavior has become toxic. Decades of unbroken success forge an impenetrable psychological armor, making internal course correction nearly impossible. The only viable cure comes from the outside. The outside director serves as a critical, life-saving safety mechanism for the organization. Success in this role requires immense grit, the raw courage to look a legendary billionaire in the eye and tell them they are out of control. It is possible to balance intense ambition with self-awareness. Leaders like Uniqlo's Tadashi Yanai successfully navigate the narrow boundary between these archetypes. Effective corporate governance provides the essential structural breaks needed to protect a visionary founder's legacy from their own worst instincts.